Hey y'all, so today we're doing a sewing. It's a deep side part sewing, and this is my usual, my lovely client Mariah. I've been doing her hair for a very long time, so some of you have seen some of her videos before with her in my chair, and um, I wanted to do something different today because we always do long hair and she's excited about that. I was like, let's do something different. Let's do a sewing side part. And she's like, yes, I'm down for it. So, with the deep side part, we're going to leave, um, I'm losing my train of thoughts. Okay, so you see the little bit that I'm leaving out in the perimeter for the side. I'm going to go all around the ear and the back. Um, this is the hair at the top that's going to cover her top tracks, and she has a lot of hair. So I know a lot of time when you book an appointment and you want something that you've seen someone else picture or video online, I would like for you guys to be mindful of the person's real hair, because if you have very thin hair or fine hair, the result is a little bit different than someone who already has a lot of hair. So she has a lot of hair, so her coverage is different. It's going to be different. um, the outcome is always different versus someone um, who have finer or thinner hair. So I am braiding the area that's going to be left out. So that braid is going to be, a lot bigger. It's not, the braid that's going to stay in. So I don't care for it to be, neat or anything like that. This is just the leave out. Her hair is already shampooed and it kind of air dried. So I meant to blow dry her hair before I started cornrowing, but we were talking and she's like family, so kind of skipped the steps. So your leave out is pretty much determined by the style that we're doing. So for her, I didn't have to leave out a lot in the back. Like I said, her hair is very thick, so she doesn't need too much out. But if your hair is thinner, finer, however you want to say it, um, you can opt to have little hair out or a lot. It all depends on what you want to do. A lot of people, when they get a sew in, they want to be able to pull it up in a ponytail. So the amount of hair that is left around the perimeter, especially in the back, is determined by, if you want to pull it up in a ponytail, I will leave a lot more hair out. But if you don't care for a ponytail, you just want to be able to, do a very low bun, then I will leave little hair out. So like I said, I skipped the step. So here I am blow drying her hair straight after the fact before I cornrow it. In my mind, it doesn't matter. Everything just kind of jumbles up together. So I was like, all right, let me blow dry the hair now before I do the cornrow, because I need the hair to be gliding when I braid it. I don't want it to get stuck because it's still curly. So I use my leave-in from, I think it's Pavana leave-in conditioner that I spray in there before I blow dry her hair. And I'm going to do a full beehive pattern for her. I don't do the same pattern for everyone. It's just, you can request it, but most of the time I just braid based on feeling. Sometimes I'll just look at your head and I'm like, I'm gonna cornrow it straight back. And then sometimes I'm like, I will go a beehive method, or I will do two beehives. So it's different. So I don't really have a preference. I don't braid everybody's hair the same way. everyone's hair is different, and also based on the style that you want or the finished look is also how I would do the braid down. But you can request, a particular braid down. If you're like, I don't like beehive, don't do no beehive, I won't do it. So I can do more than one braiding pattern. It's just that this time I decided to do a beehive pattern. And then also for me, beehive does take a little bit longer. I don't know why. I started out as a braider when I was 14 years old. So braiding hair is not, it's not a big deal for me. But something about braiding and the pattern and the beehive pattern takes me a little bit longer than braiding back. I don't know if it's the same thing for everybody, but I thought I'd throw that out there. So here we are braiding her hair. I sped that up a little bit. Mind you, this video is, I think it's like 30 minutes. Is it 30 or 29 minutes long? And y'all know how I feel about doing voiceover. It's a whole lot of talking, and I run out of things to say. Because I think I've run out of things to say because the editing process takes me a long time, and then I have to watch it over and over first to make sure I edited it right. And then sometimes while I'm doing the edit, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. And then, of course, I had to find a day where I'm free, where it's not too much noise. I had to stop. I had to stop and do it all over again. So here I am. Doing another voiceover, a continuation from the previous voiceover that you were just listening to, um, 3 days later. And I did a full voiceover. I finished everything, and then I realized there was a part that I didn't like, and I didn't know how to go back and edit that little voiceover section, and I accidentally deleted everything, so I had to redo this voiceover all over again. Oh my God. Okay. So learning curve. All right. So I'm finishing her beehive method, and you know, beehive is nothing new. This method is older than me, and I'm in my 40s. So if someone tell you that they invented the beehive method, oh my God, they better be 100 years old. Okay. People do add their little tricks, and that's what you're supposed to do, tweak something that you like and make it better for you. But this method is very old, and there's so many ways of doing the beehive method. um so when I'm done, I'm going to show you how I tuck in that little tail. All right.
You said, wait, what'd you say, Mariah? Turn it this way. I forgot. You said she blow your mind like she's done already?
Yeah, because she's surprised that I finished braiding her hair within what, an hour?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take that long.
Like,
I mean, people forget. I started doing weave before I started doing Brazilian knots, so weave is like my first love.
I'm so excited. Today, listen, I become a new woman when I get my hair done.
Okay, show the tuck in. Yeah, I'm tucking the braid in. And this is how I do a tuck in. I just take the loose end of the braid from the cornrow and I tuck it in between the braids as much as I can. And because I've seen where people stretch out that braid across the head and then sew on top, and I kind of don't like it. So I just tuck it in between the cornrows. I go in with the thread and needle to reinforce it, and sandwich in that loose braid in between the cornrows to make it nice and flat. So if you don't already do it, I think a lot of people do it, but I have not seen it. But if you don't already do it, this is a way for you to hide that loose end braid from the cornrow. And then I did a little fold over in the back from the first braid, so I'm going to use my thread and needle to go back in there and reinforce it. So you see how that braid stretch out on top? You can actually tuck in from that cornrow all the way in, but I brought it out a little bit so that I can that you have to find a circle to tuck in the braid. All right, so I'm going to reinforce those loose ends from the first connection that I did when I did the first sew in. Sorry, I'm moving this camera all over the place. And I use my thread and needle to reinforce. So anything that's like not tight, I take that thread and needle and I just pull them in, not so tight to where it's painful, but just to reinforce it, to make sure that they are connected and stuck together, because that's also how you get a flat foundation. Now that I am done with that, I am going to take out the leave out. Normally, I don't take out the leave out. I will leave it in and do my sewing. And then I realized I was making that really hard, because once I'm done with the sewing and I have to flat iron everything, it's really hard to get that back smooth, because the sewing is kind of, it's the added volume on top of trying to flat iron, especially when you want to get those roots to be really straight. So I said, okay, let me try what the others are doing. They flat iron before they sew in, and I thought that was kind of backward. I was like, you're supposed to do everything all at once. That's me in my head. So I started taking out the cornrows, the leave out, and then I will flat iron it before I do the sewing. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's easier. You know, I'm a tourist. I like to do things my way. Anyway, so I use a small flat iron because that allows me to get in the roots. But then this iron gets hot real fast. And instead of switching to another flat iron because her hair is long, I just kept going. I didn't want to stop. I'm like, it's flowing, so let's just keep going. So you don't have to do the same thing, but I like to use a small flat iron to get the root because it's very thin. It allows you to get all the way in there at the bottom instead of using a bigger and wider iron that can take on longer hair. But when you're trying to get those roots to be nice and straight, the small one is also a good option, and it allows you to get in the ear area easily. But when you get to the top, you'll see where her hair is long. I still kept using this small flat iron. Don't know why, but you can use a wider plate flat iron. It does make it easier, to go ahead and flat iron before you add the tracks. But everyone has their system, so do what works for you. And this is working out for me, and I don't do that all the time. Sometimes I said I would just when I'm pressed for time, I don't do extra stuff. I just do everything all at once. I try to get the most important thing done, which is having the sewing, everything in there, and then I can focus on flat ironing. So as you can see, her hair is very long to be using this little flat iron, but since I've already started and I didn't feel like stopping to plug in another flat iron, because I don't plug in all my stuff at once. And especially that I'm not flat ironing everything right now. I'm just doing the leave out, and then I still have to do the tracks. And then when I take the tracks out, I still have to do some more, heat work. Anyway, doing this kind of allows you as the stylist to see, you know, your leave out and how it's going to flow once you have the tracks in there. And sometimes you would do that and then you will realize that it's too much hair out. You can also do a individual cornrow and then tuck it in with the other cornrows like I did earlier. So if you're doing, and this is a note for the stylist, if you're doing, you flat iron leave out and you realize you have too much hair left out, this is when you can go to plan B. So by flat ironing before you do the cornrow, before you do the sewing, the tracks, you can you have an idea of how the hair is going to flow, and if if you need to add another cornrow, sorry, this would be the time to do it. And if you're not able to add a cornrow because you've already did the tracks, you can do a braidless sewing. If you've never done a braidless sewing and you need to learn how to do it, because it does help in emergency situation when you need to add a track and you can't cornrow. A braidless sewing would definitely help. So I'm not sure if I have videos on that, but YouTube, you can find anything. So doing the flat iron your leave out before you do your tracks is helpful, so that you're able to see how it's going to flow. So here we are. Like, she's excited already. So this let me see exactly how much hair, that if the hair that I left out is enough, and for her it is. And if I wanted to, I can add another individual track, but we don't need that. So we're going to take a couple of pictures. You got to have documentation every step of the way. Anyway, so this is where we are, and I'm going to connect the other video because I had split it in half because I thought it was too long, but it's not. And I'm going to make it one whole video. So
I'm so like,
she's like, whatever you want.
Whatever, I'm here.
It's like, I trust you.
Like, I could be a model anytime.
Right. Because they always asking about you. Always.
So you want to do the light one at the top, or you want to mix it in?
Mix it in.
Mix it in.
Like highlights, kind of. Or, I don't know. Because my hair is 1B. And like your natural brown is like, matches my hair perfectly. Without me having,
so we are going to start stitching in the hair. I'm using 16 inches of my Indonesian natural wave hair. I am not going to double the tracks. With shorter hair you get more, so I don't need to double the tracks. And I'm just going around in a wrap loop. I think that's how you explain the stitching, but I promise it's nothing special. I just make sure that it's wrapped in, loop tight to not unravel later on. And some other track, I think the first one I went from ear to the front bang area, just because I'm doing black brown because she want the color mixed in. And the brown is like, it's like, as you can see, it's a soft brown. It's not like a low light, so she's not just having one color, just to have a little bit of low lights in there and to make it look natural with a little bit of color. So you can see how this brown is. It's not like an overpowering brown. It's a beautiful light brown. So this part took me about let me see, about an hour to do, an hour and 20 minutes to do.
Oh, it is.
You said you ain't had a sewing in like how long?
Over 15 years, almost 15 years. It ain't even cut.
Not yet. Slow it down. Not yet. We getting there. We are getting there.
And how many buttons did you?
So I used 3 bundles, and as you heard her, she hasn't had a sew-in in almost 15, 16 years, and she does braids. What she normally comes to me is for Brazilian knots. So I gave her a weave this time because I wanted to cut. And with the Brazilian knot, she normally goes like 26 inches, and you know, she wants to keep all the length. Now, if you want to do a sew-in with the layers, it cannot be hair that you are attached to. You know, I know a lot of y'all like to get like, the 24 inches, the 26 inches, and you want to reuse the hair. So styles that require a lot of layers, if you are attached to the hair or hair that you want to reuse, those layers hairstyle, they're not for you because it requires a lot of cutting. And I myself, I don't like to reuse hair that's had a lot of layers in it because a lot of times you're trying to recreate the same hairstyle with hair that has been chopped up. These layer hairstyle are very, very chopped up. We cut them to create a lot of the bounciness, a lot of the layers. So reusing them to recreate the same time, the next time it's not to recreate the same style. The next time is not, not something that I myself as a stylist like to do. I don't like to do that. So if we chop up this hair and we want to reuse it, you're not getting the same style the next time. It's going to be completely different because one, this hair has already been cut. The placement is never the same when we redo it again. So it's going to be a different hairstyle. It might be, it's going to be shorter and it's going to have a lot more layers because the placement has changed. The haircut is going to change. So when you reuse hair that's been layered, the style is never the same. So if you want the same thing over and over, a hairstyle that has a lot of layer is not what you would do. So since we knew going in that we would be chopping up this hair, we decided to do a sew-in. And her hair is long. To do a lot of layers when you have that kind of length all around and even longer in the back with Brazilian knot is not, an option. So going with the sewing was better because we'll be cutting, all of the extension and none of her hair. And I know a lot of people will watch this video and be like, "Oh, you should probably cut more at the top." I really not. That was not the plan to cut her hair at the top because, as you can see, her hair is long, and we're not sacrificing her hair for something that's temporary. So I don't cut people's hair just to to get a hairstyle unless they really, really want it. But most of the time, it's like, no, don't cut my hair, and that's the plan. We're not cutting her hair. So I am following her hair as a guide. So when you see that her layers are not what you normally see, is because her natural hair is long, and I'm not cutting her natural hair. Yeah.
Look how much like bounce and flow.
I would like to see it, but you keep
Oh, sorry.
swinging it, so I can't see nothing.
She's like, well, I would like to see.
Stop swinging so I can see if I need to. Okay. So we're going to do more layers in the back. I wanted her to stand up so I could see what I need to fix in the back. And with these layers, you just cut and you cut and you cut until you get, that satisfactory swing. You see how it's swinging like that? Now, I noticed the entire time I was cutting her hair, her neck looked like it was tilted to the side. I'm like, why does it feel like it's not even? But once she stood up, I had it right. So cutting the layers, I use her hair. It's long, so I use her hair as a guide. So as you see, the other side does not look like it has a lot of layers because I use her hair, which is long, as a guide. So most people would cut into her natural hair, and that was not my plan to cut into her natural hair because she's growing her hair out, and when she goes back to the Brazilian knot, she will have her long hair, and we're not sacrificing her hair to do a temporary hairstyle. Now, when you're cutting layers, Listen, I'm not meant to record videos in peace. There will always be something, either a car, siren, phone ringing, and now my dog. So we're just gonna go with the flow. Anyway, so I'm finishing the haircut, and I got her to stand up just to make sure, that with these haircuts, you have to make sure that, the neck is straight, the body posture is straight, so that you get exactly what you're looking for. In this case, I'm like, listen, stand up straight, don't move, don't breathe. And trying to get exactly what I want. Now, when you're doing these side part, one side is always going to be a little bit longer because all of the weight is going on the other end. And like I said, her hair is long, so I'm not cutting this side of her face too much on that side. So it might look like it's uneven to you, but it's not uneven. The layers are exactly where they should be. And I made sure that she got exactly what we talked about. Alright, you gonna take your. So you see her part is full. It's full too. It doesn't have to be a straight part because a lot of people don't really care to have a straight line part. So leaving her the amount of hair that I left her allowed her to wear her part straight, a little bit uneven, or she can move more hair from one side to the other if she wants to. And that's because her hair is thick. So her part, she can kind of make it a little bit deeper if she wants and move more hair to the left or to the right. All right, so now we are curling. I am using the T3 curling iron. I think I use my 1.25 and my 1.5 curling iron, which is that that big one. Um, I think that's the size. So I'm curling and then just clipping them to let the curls cool down a little bit so that the curls can last a little bit longer and they can be bouncy with the layers that she has. Now, when you have a lot of layers, the size of the curling iron does matter, based on how you want it to look at the end and how you want it to flow. So this is what we ended up with, and I'm going to work on her baby hair. I was planning on leaving some, her sideburn, but they are long, and she's like, nope, just tuck it all in.
Okay. How's the
Oh, wait, it was filming. We play around like that, just lighten the mood a little bit because I can be very serious all day long. Anyway, so taking out the curls, the clips, and so here's a baby hair part, and I my goal was to leave some of her sideburn, but they are long, and she was like, no, just swoop it all under there, and that's exactly what I did. A lot of oftentimes people are looking for something that they saw on someone else's page. Will give you exactly what you asked for and what works for your hair. So you cannot look at a hairstyle of someone who has a lace front and expect your hair to look exactly like that, because lace front and natural hair are different. They don't look the same. So here we are making little minor adjustment to her bang, and yes, I did cut a little bit more without touching her hair. So this is the final result, and I am done with this voiceover. My gosh, this was
I'm
hard.
definitely going short.
Anyway,
You sure?
so I hope
Like
you
how
all
short
enjoyed this
is?
little
I've never
process.
done my
And
hair. Oh, you never been
she's
this short?
happy.
Okay. Like, look
I
how
am
mama
happy,
looks. Like, oh
and
my
we are
gosh.
done. See you at the next video. Bye.